Hey kids, here we are, lesson 6 in module 5, and it's kind of a big guy, sorry. Be a subscriber, by the way, click subscribe right there in the bottom so that you can get all these uploaded videos. This is a really important one, it's going to have a lot of work on it, so get those notebooks ready. Find the total volume of solid figures composed of two non-overlapping rectangular prisms is our objective today. Just some random counting warm-up stuff. Here's the real part of the lesson. Okay, you've got your formula that we are using. Length times width times height. You can multiply two numbers at a time. You can multiply them in any order. One important thing that you need to pay attention to, because on this lesson it's going to become really important that you look and think. Let's take a look at this piece right here. If this is 4 and they tell you that this is 4 down here, please know that this is also 4. Sometimes you might think, of course it is, I already know that. But honestly, sometimes people are like, well, they don't tell me and I don't know. How am I supposed to know? I'm telling you now, if this is 2, this is 2, this is 2. All of the pieces that are the same, that are on the same part of the figure, okay, they have the same dimension. So if this is 2 and this is the short one and it's the height, they're all 2 for that part of the height, okay? And in the same way, then you would have the 3. Okay, now this is going to be the shorter side, the end. If this is 3 here, then this is 3. Very important part of today, because they're not going to label everything, and you are going to have to find the difference between what they do tell you and what they don't tell you. Oh, that was a fun sound, my cup moving across the table. Okay, and then when you find that they give you the volume for other problems, and they give you maybe the area of the base, or they just give you the length and the width. So we're supposed to multiply 3 numbers. But what if they don't give you 3 numbers? They only give you 2, and then they give you the volume. So now we're kind of learning about algebra. And in algebra, what you have to recognize is that the equal sign is a balance, okay? So everything over here has to have the same value as everything over here. So if I have 20 times a number and I get 40, well, you should be thinking 20 times what equals 40? So you might think, well, 20 times 2 equals 40. So how can you mathematically prove that or get used to setting it up? Now this kind of comes later, but I'm going to give you the super quick express version. You do the opposite of whatever the sign is to move something to the opposite side. So if it's 20 times a number, divide 20 by itself. 20 divided by 20 is 1, so it kind of blanks out this side. Then you divide everything you have over here by the 20, and you get your 2. So mathematically, this is what we're going to be introducing ourselves to. Here's another example. If I have 40 equals 4 times W times 2, so they give us 2 dimensions. Multiply what you have here. Get your 4 times 2 for 8, okay? And we still have the 8 times the W, but because it's multiplication, divide 8 by 8 to get 1. We leave the W alone. Divide this one by 8. So you do both things on the same thing on both sides of the equation, end up dividing 40 by 8, and you get 5. It's going to mathematically work out. Now, I can't really tell you why today, because we have a lot to do. In this video, we're also going to do a couple of warm-up problems that you would otherwise be working on with your teachers. And because we're constructing things with multiple rectangular prisms, I want you to watch for if they give you this and they say, okay, this is 3, or if they give you this, you're going to have to find perhaps other measurements, okay? So watch for that. Also, if they tell you that this is 5, then please know that this is 5 and this is 5. If they tell you that this little piece here is 2, this is 2. So it's going to be really, really important that you pay attention to the labeled numbers so that you can fill everything in for each of the rectangular prisms before you do your multiplication and solve. Okay? Also, it's very helpful if you label the prisms A and B as we get into the work, because you need to keep track of what you're solving. Okay, so again, if we're doing volume of B, volume of B, volume of A, volume of B, and you have to put everything together, it's going to help you keep track. All right, now if you want to actually copy these and do these, I recommend it. Pause the video. But we don't have a lot of time because it's kind of a long lesson, so I'm going to get, oops, that is so blurry. Hello, come back. We're going to get started here in just a second, as soon as it focuses. And I'm going to click on it, and there you go. Ta-da, it's like magic. So we're going to find the total volume of the figures and record your solution strategy. There's going to be a lot of work on here, so please write small, write neatly. Easy enough for A. These two prisms are the same size. They give us what I call the length, the width, and the height. So I'm going to find the volume of one, and then right here, find the volume of one, then multiply by 2. And that is my strategy when I have two of the same thing. And we will have two of the same thing often, and so you just have to remember to calculate that. So if volume equals length times width times height, remember how I always start with that and then plug in, fill it in, 14 times 3 times 5. And if you want to keep putting all the centimeters, that's fine. It just gets really cluttery, so I tend to leave it out until the very end. And you can just label it like you're ready to go and then do the solution. You can multiply these in any order, whatever is easiest for you. So I'm going to take these two and multiply them, and then I'm going to end up with a double-digit multiplication problem. 5 times 4 is 20, carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 7. Hold that spot with the 0 because we're done with that. 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1. Add them up. Sorry, it's all smushed there. Now, this is for 1. So don't think that that is the final answer, because it's not. We have to take this and multiply by 2. And then you end up with your 420 centimeters cubed. And just for neatness sake, we're going to move that over to put it a little closer to our final answer. Okay, so don't forget, once you get down here, now that you're used to finding volume equals length times width times height, now you have to do multiple of these, okay? So for this one, since they're different, I'm going to label these A and B. And now we have to find the volume of these two different shapes. So the solution strategy is to find the length, width, and height of each one. So what do we have here? We've got 15 length, width, height. I can start with B, and I can figure out the volume based on what they gave us. So find volume of bottom, and then use the, okay, so what are we missing? If we have the height here and we have this one, which one is missing? So if you have like a colored pen, okay, and so I've got this, okay, and I've got this, what's missing? It's this one. So find the piece that has this dimension. Like I said earlier, if this one has, this is what I need right here, where are all the pieces that have that missing number? Okay, well, it's here, and it's here, and oh, it's here. And so this is what's needed for that top box. Okay, so I'm going to find the volume of what I have first, and that's going to be length times width times height again on all of these. So 15 times 4 times 6. And in any order. If you know your 15s, which after a while, 15 times 2 is 30, so the times 4 would be 60. And if you can have a 0 in the end, it does make your multiplying a whole lot easier. And 6 times 6 is 36, and then have this extra 0 down here. Now that is only for box B. Box A, we still need to figure out. Length times width times height. But I do know now, through the process of identifying what was missing, that the length is 7. The width, we found out, is 4, and the height is 3. And so you can do, let's say we know this is 7, or you can, 12, and then you can do 7 times 4 is 28 if you wanted to start there, and then do that times 3, but I already did this, so 12 times 7, 14, and 8, so 84. Now that's not the final answer. Remember, that's just the volume of A. So you have to take your B and take your A and put those together. And we end up with 444 inches cubed. Okay, find the volume of the bottom and then use the side label to find width. Okay, so find volume. I'm just going to say V for quickness of both, and add. Okay, so there you go. Next one, C. Kind of more of the same. We've got some dimensions, so length, width, height, and then if I have this up here is given, but I'm not finding anything with this, what can I do with it? You're going to have to find the difference. If this is 6, the back piece there, then the front piece is 6. And if this is 6 and the total is 10, then you have to do quick little math in your head and say, what's the difference? And this is going to be 4 right here. And that's our missing, that's one of our missing amounts. Okay, now what about the other? So I have this one. Okay, so I have the height, and I have the what I would call the length, but now I need the width. And so what is this? Now I'm going to compare what is this one, and here's where we find that we have the 3 centimeters. Okay, so you have to do the actual kind of matching and set it up. And again, let's call this A and we'll call this B. It doesn't matter what order you do them in. You just need to figure out what each one is. So let's start with the bottom one. B is going to be 10 times 3 times 2, length, width, height, length, width, height. Okay, now that's just for B. And then we need A as well. Now we figured out that this is 4 times, missing 1, 3 times 4. Almost, it looks like a cube, but don't trust it. Check the measurements. And then 12 times 4 is 48, but that is just for A. So put those together now. And you get 108. So it's 108 centimeters cubed for the total volume. And again, your solution strategy is to use the 10 minus 6 to get 4 centimeters for length on top box. And use 3 cm from bottom to match top width. It's a lot of work on this activity. So sorry. Okay, next one. Blaze onward. All right, A, B. We have length, we have width, we have height, we have length, we have some height here, we have some height here. So if this whole thing is 12 and this one is 12, then this here has to be the other half of that. So 6 plus 6 is 12. Okay, now what are we missing? We're missing the width again. The width is the one that is angular. Every piece of this should match what's down here. So this is going to be 3. Okay, mark everything. Every time you want, like if it helps you, just do, okay, 6 and 3. You could do 3, 3, 3. Whatever helps you. Okay, A. Length times width times height. This time I'm doing them in actual order. So 8 times 3 times 6. We'll do 24 times 6, and then 24 times 6. Sometimes I do this. I don't think it's proper format, but 6 times 4 is 24, and then 12, 13, 14. This is for box A. And then B, and we already had our 10 times 3 times 6. And I'm going to do this one here because I can now multiply by 10 and get 180. And then take your, for B, oops, I should have done a box. Keep it consistent. Take your 144 and 180. 412, 324, and you get 324 meters cubed. And your strategy is, again, do the subtraction, get the numbers that you need. Yeah, this is getting pretty long, so your solution strategy, I'm going to have to hurry. It's use the 12 minus 6 equals 6 for height on top box. And use 3 width from bottom. Okay, you could probably have a better description, but I am in a big hurry so you can make sure to get all the information, because check out the next problem. Okay, a sculpture pictured below is made of 2 sizes of rectangular prisms. There are only 2 sizes here, so despite what you may think, there are only 2 of them. One size measures 13 by 8 by 2. Think about the dimensions together and which one it could be. The other size measures 9 by 8 by 18. Okay, what is the total volume of the sculpture? So the 13 by 8 by 2 has, oh, there go the lights, has a very tiny measurement in it. It has 2. The other measurement has 9 by 8 by 18, so it's a little bit bigger. So if you call the multiples your A, let's just do A. So every single one of these is A, and then this would be B. Then give the measurements to the right prism, okay? And then look at how many there are. So you have to find the total volume of the sculpture. So now that you've identified what A is, our calculations are going to take up this whole space, basically. Okay, you always want to stick with your formula. And so we're going to use for A, label everything. 13 by 8 by 2. And let's do this first, 13 by 16. And then take your work off here to the side. It's double digit. And be sure and write everything. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. Hold this spot with a 0. You're done. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. Add. Now, what is 208 for? Well, that is the volume of one of A. Okay, so how many A's are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to take, that is inches cubed for 1A. Take your 208 and multiply by 6. 6 times 8 is 48. The 4 goes up, that goes down because it's a 0, and 6 times 2 is 12. So I have 1,248 inches cubed for all A's. That's not the final answer. That's just part of our calculation. Now we have to go on over to B. We have to find 1 of B and then multiply it by 2. Then we have to put them both together. Okay, so if you want to keep your work all neat, have a section for B. 9 by 8 by 18. Again, you put your formula up here and just plug it in. Let's do 72 times 18. Yes, we will have some big multiplication problems. You should be able to handle it by now. Let's just move this over here. 8 times 2 is 16, 56, 57, 0, 2, 7. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. 9, because then I make careless mistakes. 1296, and that then needs to be multiplied by 2. You could add 1296 to itself, or you can just multiply by 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Then we have 18 plus 1 is 19, and 4 and 5 and 2. And so 2,592 inches cubed for all B's. But that's not the final answer. That's just step 2. Now we're going to take this and put it all together. So 2,592 and 1248. 8 and 2 is 10, and then 10, 14, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 3. So 3,840 inches cubed total volume. It's a monster. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't do it. Here we go. Let's do another one. The combined volume of 2 identical cubes is 128. Oh, this is where they start to get a little harder. Okay, 128 cubic centimeters. What is the side length of each cube? I wish I had more time. Okay. If I have 2 cubes, and this is the combined volume, the first thing that you need to do is take your 128 and divide it by the 2 cubes. Okay, 12 divided by 2 is 6, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So it's going to be 64 centimeters cubed per cube. Okay, now what is the side length of each cube? In order to have this be your volume, volume equals length times width times height. It's a cube. All the dimensions will be the same. So number times number times number, all the same, has to equal 64. So what can you multiply by itself 3 times and get 64? Lots of strategies here. Most of the time kids will just use trial and error. If you started with like 5 and you did 5 times 5 is 25, and then 25 times 5 is 125, you're way too big. So 5 is too big for this space. Okay, you could try 2 and 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. That's way too small. So you kind of have to use trial and error, but what times what times what, you can narrow it down. We've done a 5 and a 2. We're going to be in between that. And so you might be thinking 4, and you would be right, because 4 times 4 gives you 16. and then 16 times 4. 6 times 4 is 24, carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. Now, what's the actual answer? It's not 64, it's 4, because the side length of each cube would then have to be filled into the blank for each of the dimensions. So 4 is your answer, and label it centimeters. Okay, there you go. That's your answer. Next one, another tough one. A rectangular tank with a base area of 24 centimeters squared. That means, yay, they've already done the work for you. 24 centimeters squared is filled with water and oil to a depth of 9 centimeters. Now this is 4, but they say 9. The oil and water separate into 2 layers when the oil rises to the top, so this is the oil. If the thickness of the oil layer is 4 centimeters, what is the volume of the water? And so all you really have to do is figure out, well, if the total height is 9, then this has to be 5. And so if I have volume equals length times width times height, and they already gave me the area of the base, I just need to know the volume. And so you plug in through kind of eliminating what they've given you, and then it's really just 24 times 5. But it's hard for students to read all that. 5 times 4 is 20, and then 10 and 2, so 120 centimeters cubed. What if you want to talk about volume of water? You know that centimeters and milliliters are the same value, so you can have volume of either. Next one, last one, and how are we doing on time? Holy moly, we need to hurry up. 2 rectangular prisms have a combined volume of 432 cubic feet. 2 combined. Prism A has half the volume of prism B. Oh, good thing we have experience with these, okay? What is the volume of prism A and prism B? Doesn't this sound like those tape diagram problems we used to do? Because what we have is we have a half, and then we have the whole. So the one has half of the other, and the 2 combined are 432 feet cubed. So, excuse me, so what you have is you have these 3 pieces that are the same size. So you can divide 432 by 3 and then get 1, subtract, bring down, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, divide, multiply, subtract. And so what you end up with is each of these being 144. So what's the volume of prism A? If you just have to read carefully, prism A has half the volume of B. So A has 144 feet cubed, and B has twice that. And you can do the multiplication, or you can just go 144 plus 144 and get 288 feet cubed. And hurrying. If prism A has a base area, I just know I'm going to run out of time. Okay. If prism A has a base area of 24 feet squared, what is the height of prism A? Okay, so again, base area, you would want to create that bottom piece with 24, and then you're trying to find the height. So you look at the total, you use your 144, okay, set it up, volume equals length times width times height, except that they gave you the length and width here. And then all you have to do is divide 144 by 24 to get the 6. 6 feet linear, not cubed, not squared, anything, just 6 feet. And for the last one, since we're running out of time, super quick, if prism B's base is 2/3 the area, you have to do 2/3 of the area. So 2/3 of 24, you could also do 24 divided by 3, but you need 2 of them, so multiply by 2. So if prism B's base is 2/3 the area of prism A's base, then what is the height? And again, you take the base area times whatever you don't know the height is. And then for prism B, you use 288. Divide 288 by 16 to get the 18, which is the height in linear feet, not cubed or squared. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we did it. Subscribe. See you on the next one. Bye.